Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade, and well guys, we're going to continue doing these full commentary videos where I talk over what's happening and give you tips and tricks so you can apply on your future runs. This time we're going to do Black Rook Hold. It's an old dungeon that is coming back in 10.2, and it's one of my favorites from the Legion era. It's tied there with our hard ticket. There's a lot of people that don't like those two dungeons, but personally I enjoy them a lot. Maybe it's because I'm a bit biased. I did run those places like to death back in Legion because there was really good loot for Retribution Paladins back then. Anyway, so Black Rook Hold, let's talk about talents. As general talents, there isn't nothing specific that you want to take in this place. You don't really need cleanse, so you can dispose of this point wherever you want. You can put it in Fist of Justice, or you can actually put it in Turn Evil. There's some value to be had in that in this point of talent, because everything in Black Rook Hold is either undead or a demon, except the spiders. The spiders are not any, but everything else you can use Turn Evil to like stop a cast that is not kickable or something like that. I'm not gonna run it in this run. It's only going to do a 20 Black Rook Hold, but maybe in hierarchies the Turn Evil has like a value, to have that extra hard CC. As for damage talents in the Retribution part, I'm just going to run the same thing I ran for the last hour hard ticket. It's a Templar Strike build. I find that Crusading Strikes is very weird to use without the old tier set and Hammers of Wrath being AoE. So I'm just gonna stick to Templar Strikes for now, and yeah, this is the build. It's going to be in the description of the video if you want to copy it. There's nothing like super min-max or anything. It's something that I think it's working pretty well. And well, with that being said, let's go into the run. Okay guys, we're starting here this Black Rook Hold, and well, Black Rook Hold I think is going to be the second easiest key to do in 10.2. It's a pretty simple, straightforward key, especially when people get the grip out of it. In Legion back then, you never played any of these two packs. You can go either left or right side. You never play any of those because these mobs are pretty tricky, but I'm going to talk about the abilities. So you have the caster that does just soul blasts, and then he has a heal that you always have to kick, to save one kick for that heal. Then these mobs do like soul blade cast, that those are like uninterruptible things that they do on the party, so you just have to heal that damage. And the most annoying ability is this sacrifice soul. The protector is doing a similar effect like a blessing of sacrifice on everyone, so every mob is taking reduced damage until he dies. So that's really annoying because you want to get rid of like the casters first in these packs because they are the most deadly. But with that sacrifice soul, that blessing of sacrifice effect they put on the mobs, it's kind of annoying. Here it's going to make us wipe, by the way. We're going to keep pulling, and the tank sees like we're doing a lot of damage, but that's because we can control one pack. But when you combine some of these packs, they are really deadly. I kick that thing so it goes into the pack, and we are going to make the first mistake here. So we're taking damage from the bolts, the soul blades, and all those things, and he just goes in and chains it to the next pack. So each of these sides has a mini boss, and that's the main reason we normally don't play these sides, because those mini bosses are pretty deadly. So the first mistake here is like we're not killing the mob that's using sacrifice soul. So every mob is taking super reduced damage. We're not killing anything. The casters are like disjointed from the pack. My Wake of Ashes didn't hit the casters. I get one shot by the bolts. Anyways, this build was kind of dead on the water at the start because it's really hard to control the two packs with so many casters and things that you have to do. So we go in again, and I think I die again here. Yeah, the pool was not salvageable. I think I should have just waited back there and just full wipe and continue doing the thing. Okay, so that's one of the special abilities that the mini boss does here. Those circles in the ground, they don't do damage, by the way, by itself, but they have like 2 or 3 seconds that they stand there, and then they explode. When they explode, they do damage and they fear you. So you can stand in them for a while, but don't be there like too long, because they explode, you get feared, and it's annoying. Now we're going to take it a bit slower. We're going to just kill this pack. The tank, I think, knows what happened, and we're just going to nuke one pack at a time. I think if you're going to play these sides and not invis them, I think it's the way to go, play pack by pack. Or at least don't play them with the mini boss. Anyways, that's the sacrifice soul cast. We gotta kill this guy that's doing that blessing of sacrifice effect, And it's really annoying because it's like anything. The other mobs are not taking any damage from our AoE. Well, they're taking damage, but not full damage. Anyways, we kill the protector. Then we move to the other two mobs. Yeah, I really remember this and why we didn't play these sides in Legion. These mobs are fairly annoying. After this, the next like mobs we're gonna play are really simple, you know. They don't really have many abilities. This is just, these two sides are just the most complicated, I think. Okay, we're not gonna fight the mini boss with just the normal ads here. This is a bit more controllable, you know. There's still a lot of casts that are like uninterruptible that are going off, but we're fine. Gotta kick that soul blast so we don't get those circles on the ground. I think this soul blast is going to go off. Never mind, we have a kick. I'm just gonna pop, I think, cooldowns here just to finish up this pack. Yeah, this mini boss is, I think this is the annoying one. This is I think this is the easiest one, because the other one just throws like glaives that you can't literally kick. So yeah, if you're gonna play one side, I think the left side is the better one to play. But I really recommend not playing them a lot at all, you know? It's just better to just skip them. So that ability also comes on the next boss. You're gonna see it's not really annoying, by the way. Even if you have it on melee, those circles, you can like space yourself and keep killing the boss. So the first boss of Black Rook Hold is a pretty simple one. It's mostly just a tank and spank, has very little mechanics. We're just gonna start a rotation with Blust and all those things. The first thing he does is he throws that little swirly thing on the ground. Don't stand on it. When it's going in the air, it doesn't actually hit anyone, but when it's on the ground, if you stand on it, it's going to knock you back and does damage, you know. Other than that, he does this huge frontal arc. Don't be in it, you know. It has a very long cast time, so you should be able to move away from it really easily. And after that, he's going to do the same ability that other mini boss does. You know, those circles on the ground that the mage had them. Just space yourself out and like try to leave them as close as possible so you don't like cover too much ground, you know. As a melee, you can cover like half of the side of the boss and still hit, so you don't like get still hit the boss, you know, so you don't get like less DPS. Anyways, we just hit the boss. When he reaches 50%, he's going to do his huge AoE ability. I'm going to use just a really small defensive to see how much damage actually the thing does, you know. And so we have like 20% reduction, 30% actually as Retribution Paladins, and I'm gonna use a small 20% defensive, so I have like 50% damage reduction here. Oh, never mind. First, we have to kill these ghosts. So if a ghost reaches the boss, it's going to give him extra damage on his explosion cast. So you really want to kill these ghosts. As you see on a 20, which is fortified and tyrannical, I didn't really notice that. Now I do. We have both of the big affixes. They die really fast. So this is the Soul Burst explosion. I only used my Shield of Vengeance and it didn't really even touch my health, you know, so I took no damage. But that's mostly because I think I'm a red pally. I have too much like damage reduction on AoE. And well, yeah, you just use a small defensive there to survive, you know. If you're a red pally, you can just use either Shield of Vengeance or your other damage reduction, your small damage reduction. Anyways, we just kill the boss. He's going to repeat abilities that he does in phase 1. He just does the frontal thing, throws the little swirly on the ground, and then throws the big swirlies that you have to like stack together. Anyways, after the boss dies, there's a very long RP time, you know. You gotta wait for the souls to open the door, which is a good time if you died in this fight to get a food buff, you know, or something like that. So don't be afraid to use cooldowns to finish up that boss, because you have a long time to recover them till you get to the next pack. Like I said at the start of the video, normally you're going to start your run by just doing this first boss. Normally you're not gonna play any of the two sides of mobs that we played, you know, any of the mini bosses or any of those like casters and all those things. We're just gonna kill the mini boss and then go to this part. Now we're going to go to the spider part. Spider part is really fun. There's a big AoEs. Spiders are not elites, so they just die. They put a debuff on the tank, you know, like a stacking dot. So just take care of that. If you're a healer, you have to dispel that thing if it goes too high. Just gonna pop cooldowns here. I think they removed the explosion after the spiders die, because normally there was a big green explosion here, you know. And I was like thinking, oh, they're gonna explode, and they don't. So I'm thinking that they removed the big explosion after death from those little spiders. I don't know why they did that though. You know, these spiders don't do anything, so that was their only mechanic. So kind of weird they removed that for 10.2, because the mobs after this don't really do much, you know. They just are mostly tank and spank. Anyways, we have the champion. The champion does a scream that gives mobs extra health, and he does a frontal stun in a cone. They did add like a better visual for the stun cone. It's like a brown frontal thing, you know. And then we have the scouts that do that blade dance. It doesn't seem to be doing any damage, you know. At least to me, it doesn't do anything. But it's in like hierarchies, you probably want to stop the blade dance so it doesn't do a ton of AoE damage on your whole group. Now the tank is just going to stop here, and we're gonna kill this champion. And he's gonna do something that normally you didn't do with Legion. You normally play that pack in the front, you know. I was expecting him to play it, but we're gonna like dip to the right here and not pull that pack. And we're gonna kill this pack, you know. There's a cat here. The cats are always dangerous for people in range because they do a lot of damage and leave a dot. We have also the blade dance guy, and we have a champion. So the champion's gonna yell eventually and give a bit health to the other mobs, you know. And it's similar to a bolstering effect, or I think they actually removed. I haven't seen him cast the thing, or maybe we're just killing the mobs too fast. But well, I think he has still the buffing effect. After that, we're gonna pull this pack, try to kill that arcane minion as fast as you can. It's a non-elite, and it's very annoying because it does those swirlies on the ground when it teleports and does damage, you know. After that, we have the archers. So this is the first time we're seeing the archers here. They do a frontal volley cast, you know. You gotta move away from that. It's non-interruptible. You can stun it or blind it or turn evil it. They also do those shoots that are just random. They do a ton of damage, so just be aware of those if you're getting target. Then we have that knife dance, you know, that does like AoE damage on everyone in the group. So just try to also stun it or blind it or something, because it's non-kickable. So you see, a lot of things are non-kickable. That's why I said maybe turn evil has some value in this place. Anyways, after we kill this pack, you always want to LOS here, so everything comes and you can like AoE it efficiently. There's the frontal from the champion, and there's a bunch of like archers that are doing frontal volleys, and we also have blade dance 2 scouts. So this pack is a bit sketchy because everything is like a bit spread out, you know. That archer is kind of on the right, they jump, so it's sometimes you can't do anything about it. As a tank, you want to try to LOS as much as possible so the mobs like get clumped together. That's a good fear from our healer, so the archers don't like volley us to death. And yeah, that's it. Now we're going to go to the next pack here. It's more archers, more scouts, and more champions, you know. Basically the same thing we've been doing all the time. In these cramped like hallways, these archers are pretty deadly because if they jump and they just volley you on a high key, you're probably going to die. Okay, so I'm seeing that the champion is not buffing the mobs. So the champion is not giving any HP buffs to the archer. So I think they removed that from Black Rook Hold, you know. Yeah, there's no buffs on the archers, no buffs on the scouts or anything, you know. So yeah, they removed the buff that the champion gave to the mob, so it's a lot easier, you know. That buff was kind of annoying because it made every pack like a really big damage sponge. They actually removed some abilities from Black Rook Hold, like the spiders, the champion buff, and all those things. So yeah, this is going to be one of the easiest keys, I think, in the next rotation, 10.2. We are doing this on a 20 with both Fortified and Tyrannical. It's like nothing, you know. Now we're gonna do with the Son of Ravencrest. This boss was one of the most dangerous mobs in back in Legion. It was one of like one-shotty bosses that you can get because of the flame path. You see, the boss is targeting 2 people, and it goes in a line between those 2 people. You want to be kind of stacked together, not stacked, but like one behind of the other, like let's say 6 to 10 yards, so you don't make a huge green line like there, you know. So yeah, people are going to start knowing those mechanics when it gets to live, but yeah, that's how you do it. The boss after some time is going to go to his air phase, where he summons 2 adds, one Arcanist and one Vanguard. You want to always kick the Arcanist. You should have enough kicks to do that. The Vanguard just does a frontal and hits the tank, you know, so it's just tank and spank on that part. Try to always, like, if you're a tank, like, get the adds close to the boss so your melee can like cleave and stuff. And yeah, that's basically everything that happens in this fight. Oh yeah, I forgot one more thing. There's glaives. So you're gonna see that Ilisana casts some glaives. It doesn't have a visual effect, you know, but those glaives bounce between people that are close to the main target of the glaive. So always see where those glaives are going to be going. I'm going to show you guys whenever it does it here. So I'm gonna move away from like my range people. Normally it prefers to go on range people. So if you're a melee, that's the Brutal Glaive is going on our healer. You see, I move away from the healer, so it doesn't go on me as well. If it bounces on you, it's very annoying. So I'm trying to line this up with the mage, but he blinks like super far away, you know, and it makes a huge line. So the thing is, you want to be close, like I said, for those fellow rushes, so you don't make a mess, you know. You lose a lot of space in the room, and the thing in the ground doesn't go away. I don't think it went away in Legion. Yeah, it didn't go away in Legion, but I think it does here. So eventually we're gonna have a bit more place to play. Anyways, the boss is almost dead. I have the Dark Rush. I'm gonna try to go close to the other dude. I think I actually made more of a mess than than just staying where I was, you know. But yeah, so like I said, for that Flare Rush, both players want to be kind of close to the boss and kind of close together. Boss is going to fall down now. Remember, though, the mechanic of the glaives, that's one of the things that was probably going to kill you in high keys. The glaive does a lot of damage, and if it bounces to a lot of people, your healer is going to be really mad at you because you're going to take unnecessary hits. Always watch who is the target of the boss on that ability. Now we're going to go to the stairs, the boulder stairs. So you just have to dodge these boulders. They do a ton of damage, so careful with getting hit by these. And it's a fun little gimmick mechanic from back in Legion, you know. Gotta go to the demon part of the dungeon. We're gonna do huge pulls here. This place was actual nightmare in Sanguine, because these worm-tongue tricksters don't actually move a lot, you know. They like to stand and just do their little cast thingy. So we're just gonna do a bunch of AoE here. It's a really fun pull because there's a ton of AoE. There's also those Wrath Guards. Those do a ton of damage on your tank. They do a cast that's called Blade Assault. It does massive damage to the tank, although my tank here is just taking it like a champ. He does, his bar barely moves. So yeah, I think they did some nerfs on this place. I don't think this place guaranteed many nerfs. This dungeon was pretty simple back then in Legion anyways. Bosses were dangerous. Mobs, not much, you know. You see there's not many abilities that are happening. The worm tongues, if they live enough, you know, and when they're low health, they start casting stuff. They do a frontal flame throw, and they also throw stuff on the ground. You're gonna see like some brown swirlies. Don't get hit by those. And they just throw random stuff to people as well. So that's most of the abilities. So they drink a potion and they gain abilities, but we're interrupting it with our like AoE CCs and stuff. So that's when they grow up and they do a ton of damage. They throw flamethrowers in front of them and all those things. There's also those two Wrath Guards. Our tank is taking it fine, you know. I gave him a sacrifice so he doesn't take a lot of damage here. So he should be okay with those Blade Assaults. But most of this part is just fun AoE, you know. Really enjoyable part of the dungeon. Wake of Ashes is huge here because, like I said, everything is undead or demon, so you can like AoE CC them pretty easily. So here is a small mistake Tag makes, you know. He wants to like keep going with the tricksters on our backs. So I do the paladin thing and I just bop myself and run through the stones. I don't give a damn. You can do this with Bubble, with Blob, you know. You just get upstairs, stop the rocks, and then come back, you know. So I stop the rocks, I go back to res our tank, stun those dudes so I don't get hit. Yeah, as a paladin, this is your duty, you know. You just horse up the ramp, stop the rocks for your group so everyone gets up safely, you know. Those rocks are no joke. Our tank just insta died because one of them hit him. So yeah, just be careful of them. Now we're going to go to the next part. This was really tricky in Legion because these Fellspite Demolishers had a cast that was uninterruptible that buffed them. So they made that cast kickable now. Although the mobs themselves are not like stunnable or anything, you can actually kick them, you know. They also have that stir bat thing where they make those little bats target, like focus on one target, you know. So you can't do much about it, you know. Just if you're the target, use a small defensive to survive if there's too many bats. But normally you're just gonna AoE them down, like you see here. They just die like nothing. The cast you want to stop is the one that we just kicked. If it goes off, the mob gains a bunch of extra damage, you know, and becomes bigger. It's a good thing they made it kickable now in Dragonflight, because back then you always had to use something to stun these guys. If you ran out of stuns, they just buffed like hell, you know. Okay, we have a lot of bats here. We're just gonna AoE them down as best we can. I think our DPS here got like focused by the bats, you know. Unfortunate. Anyways, just finish up these two mobs. Normally, back in Legion, you just run with these two guys to the outside where the boss is and finish them off there, you know. I get focused here by 3 bats, but they don't really do too much damage to me. I think one of the buffs got off, you know, so the dudes are huge now. Well, not huge, you know, but they can actually grow bigger than that, and that's going to hurt on your tank. It's a good thing we actually did this dungeon on a fortified tyrannical, so bosses actually last long enough to see their mechanics, and trash is not like just falling over. But because imagine doing this 20 without any of the 2 affixes we're doing them now, would be like pretty fast and easy, you know. So at least stuff is surviving long enough so we can see the mechanics. Anyways, I think we are going to bring these mobs and the bats like to the outside area. Yeah, I think this is better because it's a cleaner place to play, you know. There's more room to run away from the bats if you don't have the defensive. And we're gonna engage the next boss in a few seconds here. Just finish up this Dominator. Kick the Fell Frenzy so he doesn't get big. And as you can see, Black Rook Hold is a pretty chill dungeon. Especially after the first 2 hallways, you know, you always skip those, and most of the other parts of the dungeon are really chill. You don't really have to do those first hallways. Like I said, you can always use an Invis Pod and just go to the first boss. You can find a lot of trash after. We did skip one of those packs before Ilisana, so I think that can cover some of the trash that we didn't do at the start, if you plan to skip that for those first 2 hallways. Now we have to wait for our other DPS. I think the mage died there. Maybe he didn't have Ice Block to use it on the bats. I don't know. So here, this boss has a lot of like moving parts. So he does first a charge. He charges a ranged player, and this is where plate users and like high armor users are pretty useful. You know, if you have a very good defensive, you can like block it. You know, I'm gonna just use a small defensive here and just block the hit so it doesn't get my mage. You know, after he does the charge, he's always going to do that AoE damage. It's physical damage and it hurts a lot. But it's physical, so if you have armor, you reduce it that way as well. Normally the tank can take 3 of those charges, and then the 4th might be lethal. You know, maybe some tanks can take a 4th charge, but I took the first one there. Now he knows what to do. He's gonna put himself in front of that, and he takes 1 of the charges. You know, that charge gives you a stack that does more damage for every charge you take. So a DPS can take maybe 1, and then he has to like wait. Then the bats are going to like mark you and going to throw lines of green stuff on the ground. You know, you want to put those lines on the edges of the room or places where they don't interrupt people, you know. I think tank is going to take a second here with a small defensive, and nice, he doesn't take any damage. Always after the charge, there's going to be that big AoE damage, so if you're a healer, you have to top everyone else after that, you know. Don't let people get low and then just surprise die after the charge. Okay, so my tank has 2 charges. I'm saying maybe he's in small danger, so I'm gonna like bop myself here and take a hit for him. That way I clear my stack, so I can actually take the next like charge if needed. And this also lets my tank reset his stack, so he can take more hits, you know. Something you can do as a paladin. You can use a bop or bubble to reset your stacks. Help out, you know. That way my range can actually tunnel the boss and all those things. So I'm gonna make my tank do it. And actually I'm just gonna do it, you know, since I already used my bop. I don't have a charge, so I can take a hit pretty easily. I'm gonna try to put this green thing on top of another green line so it doesn't take up more room. Back in Legion, these green lines, by the way, didn't disappear, but I think they nerfed them here, and yeah, they go away now. So you're never gonna run out of room doing this boss, even on high tyrannical keys. But still, try to put them in a good space. And basically that's this Smash Bite, the Hateful, you know, boss. Pretty simple. You can make this fight so easy if you're a red pally, you know, because, well, you have a bunch of pally utility. Actually, any pally can use this utility. Bob someone, bubble yourself, take the hit. Now we're going to go to the last part. This is pretty heavy on tank damage. These swordsmen have one thing that's called coup de grace. I think it's French. Yeah, that thing, it does a massive amount of hits on the tank. So I like wake of ashes there, so my tank doesn't take like 3 of those in the face. You know, they might one-shot your tank in this place on high fortified keys. You know, you see the tank health is moving. He dropped to 20%, so I put a sack on him, so just he survives that. The Lancers are also a bit annoying, especially because they jump and they do a stun on when they land. So you're gonna see like those brown swirlies on the ground. Those are the jump locations of the Lancers. They always target someone that's, I think, the farthest away from the group. So just be careful with that. So my tank is going to like do a huge pull here. There's a lot of those coup de grace guys. So whenever I see that too many casts of that thing are going off, I'm gonna wake of ashes. Yeah, just gonna wake of ashes there to stun everything so we can stabilize. It's a ton of coup de grace. Tank, I think, uses a big defensive here to survive all of them. Very nice, we survive. And we get stunned. That was... it's hard to fight on the stairs, you know. It's weird. The hitboxes are weird. So yeah, tank notices that and moves them upstairs so we can fight them a bit better. It's a good thing I have like human racial, so I can just get away from any stun. Tank is going very low there. I don't have sacrifice to help him, and I don't want to pop him, you know, because it's also on cooldown and he loses aggro if I do that. So just finish off the mobs here. And so we can go to the last boss. As you see, a lot of these mobs are not mechanically challenging, they just do a lot of damage, and that's pretty much it. And well, now we are here. We're missing a bit of percentage, so we're gonna have to do that at the end after the boss. But we're going to engage Kurtalos Raven Quest. So this is a 2-phase encounter. The first part we face Kurtalos. He does a ton of damage on the tank, by the way. He hits really, really hard. We also have like random shadow bolts going from the Dreadlord. And we have those big purple lines that are one-shots, by the way. Don't ever stand in those lines. After that, Raven Crest also throws that little boomerang thing you see bouncing there. Don't get hit by that. You can get actually one-shot by it because it like bounces you back. So you can actually get 2-tapped there if you are unlucky. And yeah, basically that's the mechanics of Raven Crest. Very, very simple, you know. My camera is kind of annoying here. So I kind of got blinded by camera there. After he gets to about 15% health, he's gonna go into this phase, so you just finish him off. And then the big Dreadlord is going to appear. A lot of people were talking about this dungeon and thinking about this boss specifically and why this was going to be one of the most dangerous bosses because of just one cast he does, you know. He does a big Shadow Bolt cast that you don't have a buff that the boss puts on you whenever he does after the Shadow Bolt. So I'm just gonna use a small defensive here, and yes, it does a ton of damage. It took me to half health with a 20% damage reduction, you know. So that cast you always have to use a defensive, because after that the boss is going to put health buff and damage buff on all the group, and you no longer are in danger of not just getting one-tapped by that Shadow Bolt. I here use my cooldowns in a very dumb way, you know. I should have waited for the Dreadlord to go away, you know. He's gonna do this thing with the big purple line, just don't get hit by it. Don't stand on these clouds. If you do, you're going to get slept, and you're probably going to die to the big purple thing. The other mechanic this boss does is he's going to throw like a little bug thingy on someone, and that thing is going to like perma-stun that person. You know, that stinging swarm is going on the rogue. I was thinking on bopping him here, but I didn't think he was going to like take so much damage and die, you know. Oh yeah, they also added another mechanic here. He didn't die this time. Oh, I think he dies the next stinging swarm. Anyways, they added a new mechanic. So the Shadow Bolt from the demon no longer is just a one hit. It leaves a dot on everyone, you know. So they made that the fight a bit harder doing that. So now 2 people died to I think the Shadow Bolt dot and the stinging swarm. So I'm thinking here, next time I see the stinging swarm, I'm just gonna bop the next person that gets it, you know. I should have actually done it like a lot earlier. Actually, we can just, since it's on the tank, I don't want to bop the tank, you know, so I'll bop the next stinging swarm. I'm waiting here for him to go to the down phase, you know. I don't want to use my cooldowns and then he just bounces off. Taking a lot of damage here from that dot from the Shadow Bolt cast. Finally, he goes down. Gonna lay on hands my healer, you know, so he's fine. So yeah, they made this fight a bit harder by adding that Shadow Bolt damage over time. because in Legion that was just a one hit and nothing else happened. Okay, now I'm gonna bop the dude so he doesn't die to the Stinging Swarm, and see, the Stinging Swarm just goes away. You don't even have to DPS it down. Use my cooldowns to finish up the boss. And yeah, that is Black Rook Hold. We still have to get some trash, you know, we're missing 97%. So we're gonna go downstairs. Be sure to always like have full trash on this place, because it's really hard to get the count you need after you kill the last boss, because you have to go really downstairs. You're gonna see here, this is probably how a lot of groups are going to miss their timer, you know. They're gonna get to the last boss and say, oh man, they don't have trash, and then you have to go super downstairs to get something. And now we jump down and try to get our trash here with these 2 worm tongues that we left behind. Sadly, I don't think it's going to be enough, because Lizard moved around some of the trash values, and I think these guys are only worth like 1%. So after killing them, we're going to be left with like 99% of trash, and we still have to get something downstairs to finish up the key. Yeah, we're gonna pop them, and we're gonna get that each one is just 1%, so we just need 1 more worm tongue to finish off this. I'm thinking a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with the keys they're bringing in 10.2. The BFA keys are really fun, and the Legion keys are also really good, you know. I like the design. They have a lot of mechanics, but they're not like super overcomplicated or anything like that. Pretty chill keys to do. Just need to kill 1 of these guys, and we finally finish this Black Rook Hold, you know. Even though we did it with 2 affixes, you know, with Fortified and Tyrannical, it felt really chill. So maybe Blizzard's going to still do some changes to health and all those values on these mobs before release. And well, that's the overall, guys. And now let's go to the part where we do a small analysis on the overall percentages and all those values. Okay, so for our analysis, our tier set is making our spenders hit like a truck, because you see there, Divine Storm and the Final Verdict are both up there. They're like, Divine Storm is no surprise, you know, this place is heavy on trash, and Divine Storm always is top damage. But with Final Verdict is up there, you know, and you never see that. Normally Final Verdict is like 7th or 6th or something like that, you know. But yeah, that's pretty nice to see our spenders actually have a lot of power because of our tier set. After that, we have Blade of Justice, Wake of Ashes, Judgment. Expurgation is on the 6th place. Expurgation loses a lot of its value if mobs die really fast. In this place, although it has a bunch of like mob density, those mobs die pretty fast, you know. There's a lot of mobs that are just like filler mobs. They don't do much and they have pretty low health, so Expurgation is never gonna get its theoretical value, you know. Theoretically, it should be doing about the same damage as Blade of Justice. In reality, it's never going to get that because mobs die, you know. And after that, we have Wrathful Sanction, which is I really like of our tier set. I'm really glad they buffed this part of it. It's doing a ton of damage. It's doing more damage than things like Searing Light and Final Reckoning. You know, Final Reckoning is one of their strongest like blast talents, and Searing Light is the last point talent, you know. And yeah, I'm really happy with Wrathful Sanction and how it went. And well, guys, that is Black Rook Hold 22 with Fortified and Tyrannical. And well, guys, that's going to be all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I really like doing these full commentary runs, you know, talking about what's happening in these dungeons and all those things. I'm going to keep doing them for every single dungeon that's going to be there on 10.2. And once the patch is getting closer, I'm also going to be doing like a bit more short crash course guides on these places, telling you what specific utility you want in every one of these dungeons and how you can survive every boss encounter, you know. And well, guys, if you enjoy the content, subscribe to my channel and leave a like on the videos. Thanks for watching, everyone.